All right, guys, welcome back to Average Home Theater. This is Nelson. I'm joined once again by Dominic, and we are going to talk about a movie that he has never seen before until what, just a couple of weeks ago we decided to do
Yeah.
this.
hmm
And we're going to talk about Cujo. So how you doing, Dominic? What's going on?
I'm doing good, man. I'm doing good. Enjoying the summer. Um, and you took me out of my comfort zone on this one.
Oh yeah, you don't
Uh,
like scary movies?
well, not that I don't like them, but my forte is more, sci-fi action, and I kind of branch out from there. So I'm glad that you kind of gave me a challenge. You said, "Hey, have you ever seen Cujo?" I watched it, uh, and it was interesting. It was an interesting watch for
Hey
sure.
man, it's a great movie.
Uh huh.
Okay. I mean, you figure it came out 1983. I was 3 years old. So obviously I didn't watch it when it first came out, but a few years later I watched it and it's funny because Cujo has become synonymous with bad dogs, or mean dogs. Um,
Uh huh.
I mean, you hear about like people make jokes about, oh, look, Cujo over here. What if it's a dog that's mean? Or
Right.
I've seen like what you call them, Chihuahuas named Cujo, just as a joke. So yeah, this movie was obviously a big deal when it
hmm
came out, being a Stephen King story and all of that. And
Right.
yeah, it
So
scared the crap out of
basically,
people.
yeah, I did what Jaws did for sharks, Cujo
Correct.
did for dogs.
Cujo did
So,
for doll. Yeah, thanks,
ki
Stephen King.
ki yeah, kind of fitting that we went to this after. So, yeah, so did the was it the bat's fault, or did the bat unleash what was already inside?
Ah, it was the bat's fault because Cujo was a good boy.
Yeah, I'm just playing. Yeah.
I read the book. The book is actually really good.
Oh, you read the book.
Yeah, a few years ago I read it.
Okay.
It's cool because there's a few chapters where it's Cujo's point of view. So,
Oh, that's different.
like Cujo's telling, a chapter here and there or whatever, and he's like, I
Right.
don't want to be a bad dog and stuff like that. He didn't want to get fussed at, and so yeah, it's a good little book. I mean, it's not very long. It's one of his shorter ones, probably about 200 pages, a little more. But
Oh, yeah.
yeah, you probably like it.
No, that's interesting. And after I watched it, I kind of did a little bit of research into it. And Stephen King talks about where he got the idea for this, which I think is
Yeah.
pretty cool.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. He was saying basically he was in a similar remote, area, and he was having issues with his bike.
Mhm.
And they told him, hey, there's this honest mechanic 7 miles down the road in a remote area. Go ahead and check him out. And he did, and when he was there, obviously there was a dog. I don't know if he said it was a Saint Bernard. It probably was.
I don't
Um,
remember. I just remember him saying it was a big dog, and it scared the crap
yeah,
out of him.
it scared him, and he said the owner had a big socket wrench, and the dog started growling at him, and he almost kind of leaped up, but the owner hit him with the socket, and the dog kind of backed down. And then his creative juices got flowing. Like, hey, what would have happened if he wasn't here?
Mhm.
Which obviously you could see that inspiration all over the film.
Oh, yeah. I
Um,
mean, almost the
yeah,
story that he told is kinda what.
it's kind of what
Yeah.
happens in the yeah. So I'll be honest with you. When it opened up, I was like, all right. It's like Little House on the Prairie. You got a bunny running
Mhm.
through the field. And it looks very, you know, no offense, but it does look very dated in the
Oh, it is.
beginning.
Yeah, I mean, it
Yeah,
needs
it's
a
very
remaster. It definitely needs a remaster,
yeah.
there's no doubt.
And it's cool. It's got the basically, the classic story of the scared kid.
Mhm.
The little kid's basically afraid of his own shadow already. He doesn't need this, trauma to come upon him. But kind of just a really basic family dynamic. Not a whole lot going on in the beginning. And then, you meet the dog, right? And Saint
He's
Bernards are
chasing a
already,
rabbit, right?
yeah, yeah, chasing him through the field. So that's kind of going back a little bit, yeah. And then he gets basically bitten by a bat.
Mhm.
So that's kind of
And
what
that's exactly
gets.
how it happens in the book, by the way. Same exact way. He's chasing a rabbit,
Uh
sticks
huh.
his face in the hole, and a bat bites him on the nose.
Yeah. So that was interesting. And then you kind of what I like about it is he doesn't turn 100% right at the beginning. It's a
Mhm.
slow progression. and he gets nastier and nastier. I mean, by the end, it's like, oh my gosh. And Stephen King said that too, like how St. Bernards already kind of have the gunk around
Hmm.
their eye. So he just, accentuated that and accentuated that. I mean, and by the end, that dog is just a mess.
Yeah, it's
Gosh.
so it's starring Dee Wallace, and if you continue on this journey with me, you'll see that she pops up in a few movies. She's the mom in E.T. for one. Um,
Okay.
she's the main character in The Howling, which actually I have not seen. It's considered one of the best werewolf movies ever made. So that might
Oh,
be a good
wow.
one during Halloween for you and I to check out. It'll be a both a first time watch on a
Okay.
classic horror movie, unless you're scared. I mean,
No, no, no.
I don't want you to get, I don't want you to have nightmares or anything.
I have Jesus. I'm good.
Don't make me spit out my Dr. Pepper, man. Um,
uh,
so yeah, I think that's an interesting one because supposedly it's really, really good, and I like werewolf movies a lot. I'm not big on vampires, but I really like werewolves.
well, that's cool, man. I'm definitely up for trying that out next.
So anyway, yeah.
Hmm.
So she, I don't even remember what her name was in the movie, but she's the main character. She's the mom. There's the son,
It's
and
Donna. Her name is Donna in real life, or
no,
is it
no,
D?
Dee Wallace.
Okay, so then in the movie, her name is Donna.
Okay.
I have the
Uh,
IMDb up.
okay, yeah. So her and her husband, obviously, they're having the issues, and coming to find out that she's, having an affair with the friend of theirs and all of that good stuff.
That took me
So
by. I was like, wow. I was like,
yeah,
okay,
yeah, yeah.
because she's
And
not like super striking. She just kind of looks normal, So I was like, okay, I didn't expect that.
I like Dee
And you,
Wallace.
yeah.
She's a MILF.
Well, you know what I mean, though. She just looks at, she doesn't,
Right, right.
um, but I felt bad for the dad because, he's, basically kind of rebukes the monsters from his kid's room because he's scared. And then he comes in the bed, kind of wanting some alone time, and she kind of gives him the cold shoulder.
Yeah, he wants some mommy
Eh,
daddy time and she don't want no part of
yeah.
it.
I was like, man. And then when you see that layer about the affair thing, I was like, gosh, but it's subtle. Like, it's not gratuitous or
Hmm.
anything. But yeah, that I didn't expect to see that.
Well,
Um,
without that element in there, I mean, that's part of Stephen King's master storytelling. Without that element in there and him going on the trip, being angry and all of that stuff, expecting
mhm.
her, not worrying at first why she's not answering the phone. You see what I'm getting at, to where
Yeah, that
you're
was
thinking,
clever.
okay, she's probably doing something she's not supposed to be doing, not okay, maybe
Right.
something happened to her. So it just kind of, does gives it that what's the word I'm looking for, but reasoning as to
It's a
why it takes him so long to decide to go home.
right, and it's situational irony because we know what's going on, but he doesn't.
Hmm.
The characters, they don't know what's going on in each other's lives. He's thinking, "Well, I don't trust her anyway." He doesn't think that she's, in danger.
So
So,
the guy she's banging or whatever is,
right.
I guess he's a friend. I mean, they never really, it doesn't seem like the husband is really close with him. He's like a handyman who does things around the house and
It kind
handyman
of seemed
around the
like
little
that,
town or
like
something.
somebody everybody knows, and it's a small town anyway, you know.
Yeah. So
So
the husband's
everybody
not
kind of
suspecting
right. Yeah, he
until he
slides in right under
is.
the radar. Uh-huh. And then they kind of fake us out thinking he has something sinister going on, but not
Oh, yeah, yeah,
really
yeah.
other
Yeah.
other than him getting upset that she wants to end it.
Hmm.
Yeah. So, that's kind of the thing with him. And then
Ed
um
Lauter plays the mechanic, and he's in a lot of stuff.
okay.
Um, Especially in the 80s. He was in a bunch of stuff. But he plays what is that movie with Val Kilmer where he's what is it, Real Genius? I'm pretty sure he's in that, right? He's like the
Okay.
military guy in Real Genius. Maybe I'm wrong,
Okay.
but I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure that's, but anyway, that guy, Ed Lauter, is a good actor. He always plays that jerk. So he was right in his element playing this jerkwad mechanic that treats his wife like crap and all
Right.
that good stuff.
And you know, it's funny. It's like, you know, like I said, it kind of does feel dated here and there, but it feels like a real town. Like it,
Mhm.
you know what I mean? Like it's not like, you know, it feels like this is real people and this is really going on. And
Middle
obviously,
America in the '80s.
yeah, and it's all on location and all that. So as far as that goes, it feels like, you know, it's really happening. It doesn't look
So
Hollywoody.
she ends up having to go to get her vehicle
Hmm.
fixed because husband's out of town. He told her to go there, and she goes. But what happened prior to her getting there? Cujo starts to turn, right?
Right.
So the wife, the mechanic, oh, wait, we got the mechanic's wife won the
Uh-huh.
lottery. She won like 10 grand or something like that.
Right.
And
And
so
she leaves
she's like, I'm gonna go on a trip and visit my sister. He
in
lets her
Vermont or
go.
something. Connecticut.
Yeah.
Connecticut.
He lets her go. Why? Because he's looking at, hey, me and my partner, we can go party and get drunk, you know?
Yeah. No
So
rules.
he doesn't really want to let her go to have fun because he's an ass, but he's looking at it, you know what? I can go have fun too.
Right.
So it's like you just won 10 grand, and 10 grand in 1983 was a little bit more than 10 grand is now. I mean, that's pretty
Oh
good.
yeah. Yeah. That was
And
probably like 30.
he's gonna go blow a lot of it on partying.
Right. So yeah, he's looking at it as kind of like a, okay, yeah, you go do your thing, be occupied, and I'll get to do mine.
Right.
Which
So
is, yeah, go ahead.
wife leaves and everything, right?
Hmm.
Which is fine, gets them out of harm's way. But then this is probably my favorite scene in the whole movie. I wrote it down. Is when Cujo arrives at his friend's house, that nasty house where he's just throwing the trash in the front yard.
Right.
Cujo arrives and there's like uh no. Cujo was growling at the little boy with the fall. It was real foggy. And Cujo's growling and the little boy's like, "What's wrong, Cujo?" That was like to
That's
me, that was like
right.
the coolest part of the whole movie. I was like,
Yeah.
"Oh, snap, about to get real."
Yeah. When you start to really see the change, and then
Mhm.
it's the owner's son, right?
Yes, it's the owner's son. It's
Yes.
Cu yeah.
Okay.
So before
Yeah.
that, it was the noises were kinda driving him crazy, and you remember, like, the drills and the saws and the grinders and all that are making
That's
him.
right. He was like becoming like hypersensitive
Yes,
almost
yes.
to yeah. That was a nice additive because you kind of got to see there's something happening to him and it's a progression. That
Mhm.
I like that aspect of it where it's not just a light switch.
And I guess it's
Um,
kind of, what happens when a dog goes rabid, maybe? They get real irritable to sounds and that kinda stuff. I don't
yeah,
know.
I'm sure he pulled from real life and then just kind of accentuated it.
Mhm.
So that was interesting. And
So
then
anyway, yeah, he ended up at
yeah,
that friend's house and
uh huh,
attacks him. Attacks him and kills him, his first
yeah,
victim.
right. And that's the owner's friend.
The owner's friend that he was gonna go party
Right.
with. They were going on their little trip.
Gotcha. That's right. That's right. Is
Yep.
that when he does he knock the door down?
Yeah, he goes through the
Yeah.
screen door and stuff. It's really
Yeah.
cool because I know from seeing some of the special features how they did it, but they did a pretty good job with the dog attacks and it's amazing what you can do just with audio because to make the dog do that, from what I understand, the Saint Bernards are too friendly. They're not mean dogs at all. So the
Uh-huh.
dogs thought they were playing. So in a lot of the scenes, you can see the dog's tails wagging because they even have
Gotcha.
a treat or something like that. But you put in some dog growling noises and some intense music and some good camera work, and it looks like the
Right.
dog is trying to eat them. And that's kind of how they
Yeah,
do
and
that
they
stuff.
and they emphasize a lot of shadows and darkness in here, even though it most of it takes place, in the summer during the day. He's sometimes in the shadows, and when that happens, you don't really know what he's going to do, what's going on. And like I said, like you said, you can hide him from not really being mad in real life.
Mhm.
Yeah, so that
Like the
was
way they
yeah.
got him to jump on the cars and stuff, they had treats inside the car when he was scratching at the window. I know I'm getting ahead of myself, but that's just
No,
how they
yeah, yeah,
did all
yeah.
that stuff. It was pretty neat.
That that's cool. That reminds me, when they filmed Gladiator, I remember watching some bonus features and the tigers they had on set, the stuntmen would be holding ham and rolling around, and the tiger would be trying to go to the ham, but you wouldn't see that in the final cut. I mean,
Oh, okay.
still dangerous, but
Right.
they
The
were they
tigers
were
were trying to
aiming
get
at
to the meat,
get
not the.
yeah, but then they were still
Oh,
kind of jumping over and stuff. So that kind of reminded me of that.
well, it's kind of
Yeah.
the same concept. They had to get
Uh
the
huh.
dog to jump on the car and jump up on the stuntman and stuff like that, and they had to make the dog think he was playing.
Right. And something else you get here, like you feel the heat of the summer
Hmm.
in this movie.
Well, what's
Like,
crazy? It actually wasn't hot. Dee Wallace talked about that. It was actually cold.
wow.
Her and the little boy were like freezing most of the time in the car because it was cold.
Right.
Yeah. And there
I would have never thought
so
that.
the next scene when they show the mechanic finding his friend at his house.
Uh
Remember he
huh.
went back after Cujo had killed him and he was like, "Oh my God." I'm like, well, when he's walking around, you can see the breath his breath. So you could tell it was cold. You can see his breath as he's
Oh, okay.
breathing. Yeah.
That's probably something I'd notice like on a rewatch.
Well, the only reason
Um,
I noticed is because I saw that interview with Dee Wallace, and it just made me think about, man, they were actually cold while they were filming this, even though they made it look like they were
dang,
hot.
they did a good job hiding that because it
Hmm.
looks like they're sweating their butts
Yeah,
off.
you spray them down with water, whatever, and they're like,
Yeah.
I mean, it looks
Well,
like.
and it's super sunny too, so it
Hmm.
does look like it's hot. That's crazy. Wow, that's it. Yeah, I guess some of the great tricks they do, you never really notice unless
Moving
you're,
magic, baby, moving magic.
yeah. So that's good.
This is back whenever movies were movies.
Well, what's funny is like, RoboCop and and Back to the Future, these are all in the same decade, a lot
Hmm.
of these
Because it's
films
the
that we're
best.
talking about.
It's the glory days of Hollywood, 80s and
Oh,
90s.
yeah. I mean, I'm a little more open-minded, but yeah, 80s
No,
are the heyday.
you're wrong.
No, yeah, 80s for sure. Like obviously those are the ones we grew up on.
So
So
mechanic is next. Cujo jumps in,
right.
and this is where uh, he's like, "Okay, what's wrong, Cujo? What's wrong, boy?" And he can tell, I guess, by something in his eyes or whatever. He's like, "Oh my God, you're rabid!" Like he realized
Yeah.
that there was nothing he
He's
was
the
gonna
only
do
one
at
that
that
says
point.
that too.
Yes,
I
it's
was
the only
looking for
time it's
that.
said in the
He's the
movie.
only yeah, just that one time.
Hmm.
So
And he
that
didn't
was
make it. He didn't make it.
yeah. I was like, gosh, this dog is just destroying. Yeah, that was sad. Especially the owner.
Hmm.
And then the really scary part is when, the mom and son drive up to get their car fixed, they're walking into
Yep,
dang, there's no one to help them.
they're walking into a crap show. That's for sure.
Yeah. And that's where the final act really takes place is inside that car.
Yeah, like the last what 35, 40 minutes, something like that.
Yeah, it's all in that car. Which, you know, obviously that's the most intense part of the movie. That's when I was like 100% like, oh my gosh, like that kid, he's going to need serious therapy for years. Oh my gosh, I felt so bad for that kid, man.
He did a great job, the actor.
Yeah.
I mean, he was
Oh yeah.
fantastic.
Yeah, because he was young. I mean, he couldn't
Mhm.
have been more than 7 or 8, maybe
Yep,
even a little
and
younger. Yeah.
she talked about that in that interview about how great he was, how he just was a phenomenal little actor. Everything they asked him to
Yeah.
do, he just did it. He was great.
Especially when he goes through like the asthma stuff where he can't
The
breathe.
hyperventilating and all of that.
Yeah. And then, her name you said is Dee Wallace. Like
Mhm,
the way she responds to doing anything to save her kid, like
mhm.
that's really, really good acting. That's not just horror movie of the week stuff, you
Yeah, so
know?
that first attack when they get there and she sees the dog, like he doesn't he they crack the window because they don't know the dog is there, and then the dog just like tries to get
He
in
starts
through the window.
scratching that's the first attack.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
jumped. I jumped. I mean, it's been a while
Oh,
since I've seen the movie. I forgot about that,
yeah.
and it made me jump. That was awesome.
Yeah, I jumped a little bit too, and I was watching it super late because around the time I got to it, well, and no one was up, so it was like super late and super dark, when I was
Oh
watching it.
yeah, let's
So
watch
I jumped,
Cujo.
yeah, I jumped a little bit too. But yeah, that end car scene, like that's the movie right there.
Hmm.
Um, and then the part where so they're in it for
It ended up
overnight.
being almost 24 hours. Like it was
Yeah.
like a whole day.
can't imagine. I mean,
because
that
they get
car.
there in the afternoon and they don't get rescued, I think, until no, it might be longer. They might have been in there more like almost a day
It
and a
felt like
half.
2 days.
Yeah, it was like a
Yeah,
day and a half or 2 days they were in there
because
because
they had that.
it got dark twice
Yeah, they had that afternoon, and then overnight it got dark, and then yeah, again,
the whole
and
day.
they do a fake out with the mailman because
Yeah,
they show a
yeah.
mailman at the beginning, and he's the one that actually points her in the direction, right, of going to use that mechanic. Is it him that does it?
Is it
Or
him?
no, he's there. He's just there at the shop because they set up the mailman early in the movie
He
where
was at the shop
he's
earlier.
he's at the shop,
Yeah.
and then they cut to him, and you think, oh, is he going to show up there? And but he never does. So it's kind of like a
But even if
fake
he
out.
showed up, he'd have just died. That skinny old man
Yeah.
wouldn't have stood a chance against Cujo. The dog
Yeah,
weighs more than him.
that's true. But it builds it up to where you think that maybe he's going to go help, and he has nothing to do with it.
Yeah,
Um,
it's kind of crazy because I've seen the movie before. I know how it ends and everything, and I was still like, "No, don't do that," or
yeah,
"No,
well,
stay
because
away."
it's, I mean, it's so like, it's there's no ghosts and goblins. Like this could happen.
This could
Yeah,
absolutely could happen.
yeah. So that was, and then we didn't talk about the police that actually come up there.
Oh my God. Okay,
Dude, that is a massacre.
so
Gosh.
the police are awful. First of all, the whole police department's terrible.
I guess
The
small town.
investigator guy. I don't know if you did. You watch the X Files?
I've not religiously, but I
Okay.
have seen it.
Well, the
Yeah.
detective guy that was like, "Yeah, we'll catch him later, whatever." He is in the X Files series. His
Okay.
name is and he's one of the higher ups in the government. They don't really say. I don't really think actually say who he is in the government, but
Okay.
he refers to himself as Deep Throat because he feeds Mulder information.
But this predates that, right?
Oh yeah, yeah. This
This
predates
movie.
that. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But I
Yeah.
was just saying that's where I know him from.
Oh,
He
okay.
was a pretty big part of the X Files series.
Gotcha. Well, that's cool because, that was huge in
But
the
the police were
90s.
terrible.
Yeah.
I mean, just what I was like, oh my God, will somebody just go look for her at the damn car place?
Yeah.
After the husband said she was going there, like,
Yeah, they
c-
dragged their
c-
feet.
well, they didn't go.
Yeah.
He had to go himself. I was like, geez,
Yeah.
Louise. Yeah.
Yeah, they drag their feet. I'm like, come on, guys. Like, because they're kind of standing around and like wondering if they should do what they should do. And yeah. Um,
And then after they found the quote unquote suspect and he wasn't with her, they still weren't worried about it. It's like, go look for the lady, please. He just told you her last known location was at the mechanic shop. Can somebody
yeah.
go look?
Yeah, and you would hope, there's not as much bureaucracy in a
I
small
mean, that's what
town,
we
so
would
just
that's what I
go.
would have done.
Yeah.
I'm on patrol. I hear this. Oh, okay. You know how many times I did that in my career? Well, where's the
Yeah.
last place they were? Oh, go look for them over there. It's
Yeah.
crazy. It was
Yeah.
driving me nuts. It's kind of like when my wife
Especially
sees medical stuff on TV. She's like, "Nah, that's not how
oh
that would
yeah.
happen. That's not even real."
Right. Um so yeah, so then the cops, they're gone too. Uh I'm trying to remember the other one, it takes him a little while to get taken out because he goes into the barn
Oh,
and he's
that's what I
climb.
missed. You're right. They did
Yeah.
send a deputy, and they never heard from the deputy again. And the husband's like, "Wait, y'all haven't heard from him?" That's what it was. I missed the whole
That's
part. I'm
even
sorry.
worse though.
That's
That
even
like now
worse.
now someone from
One of
your
your
department
comrades
is
been over
missing.
there. Yeah, and y'all didn't. That's what it was. I misremembered.
No, you're good. Um, and so then yeah, that and then um, so then
Well, the poor officer got. He gave it.
mauled.
He gave it all he could. He tried.
Yeah.
He tried. He was trying to jump up on
Gosh.
uh the the beams in the barn and
Yeah, in
everything
the
to get away
barn.
and he almost makes it.
Yeah.
Almost makes it, but then see, this is important. This is why it's important for police officers to stay in shape. If you
Yeah.
have a 180-pound rabid dog chasing you, you can jump up and make it, you know.
Uh-huh.
So I don't know.
Gosh. Yeah. No, and then Dee, the mom, she just has to kind of go for it, right?
Mhm.
She decides to open up and then she goes for I'm trying to remember, first time shot. Was it a shotgun
Well, the
that she
first
tried?
I know, she was trying to get to the house.
Get to the
She thought
house,
she was
right?
gonna make it to the house, but then right as she's walking up to it, the damn dog is right like, he kinda walked around the behind the car or
Yeah,
something like that.
yeah.
And
She
it's so
thought he wasn't
intense,
anywhere
you're
near
like,
it.
"No, no, he's right there."
Yeah, gosh. And then, the whole thing with her arm and all
Mhm.
that, like that looked pretty realistic.
And her
Like
leg, right? Her arm and her leg, I think he
I think
bit.
it's her. Yeah, I think it's her arm and her leg, and then she's trying to shut the door, and it's like you're not even shutting right anymore.
Yep.
And
And just
gosh, yeah.
her screams and all of
Hmm.
that, I mean, she was great. She was
Yeah, she was
absolutely
very good
wonderful.
in it. And the added element of the kid in there added to the
Just
intensity because it's not
screaming.
just her.
Yeah.
Yeah. So gosh,
But
yeah. That
with all this being said, this probably wouldn't happen today because we have cell phones.
I thought,
1983,
yeah,
there's no cell phones, baby.
I thought about that too.
Yeah.
Um, you could argue that maybe in that remote area she would have connectivity issues, but you
Maybe.
know, but but
But they
yeah,
could
that would
they'd be
definitely.
able if you were missing, they'd be able to ping your phone to see where's
Mhm.
the last place it pinged. They'd have a, roundabout location, that type of
That
thing.
Yeah, that's if they did it in modern times, that's what she'd be trying to get far enough to get a signal and say,
Mhm.
"Hey, we're trapped here." That would definitely be part of the plot. What do you think of the fake out? Because you think the dog's gone and then he comes back at the very end. Remember?
Oh, after you think that she killed him.
Yeah, it's kind of like the Terminator thing.
Yeah. I
You think they
mean,
took him out, but he comes
they
back for a second.
probably could have done away. I don't remember how um the dog was killed in the book. I do know he was killed, but I don't remember how.
Hmm.
Um I don't think it was one of those where she thought he was dead and then he comes back,
Right.
jumps through the window or whatever. But it scared the crap out of people. They probably
Oh
just wanted
yeah.
they probably just wanted to have one last little showdown and one last little jump
Yeah.
scare before the movie ended.
That's
I mean,
probably
that was
exactly
a
what it
thing.
is.
3 years earlier, they did the um, Friday the 13th jump scare at the very end. So I guess
Mhm.
they kind of wanted to follow suit on that.
Yeah, and like I said, they did that in the original Terminator.
Hmm.
You think he's dead a couple of times and he's not,
Yeah.
so yeah, that makes sense. Um, and you know, the ending, when the dad finally gets there, you know, the the nice part of the ending is you assume that they're going to get past their differences now because of this traumatic event they've
Oh,
just been through.
absolutely. Yeah.
So
I
there
think
is
they
a
would have
happy
gotten.
ending.
I think they would have gotten past it anyway.
Yeah.
Um,
This
but
escalated
this,
it though.
yeah, it escalates it. I mean, the
Hmm.
traumatic event. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, so I like that. Even though it's a horror movie and there's a lot of bad stuff that happens, in the end,
And is
the
it a horror
people are
movie?
better off.
Is it
I
a
would
horror
say it is.
movie? Yeah.
I would say it is. Yeah, because of the.
Not a look, I'm getting a visitor. Okay, you gotta go, Henry.
That's a little cameo appearance.
Yeah, that's the second time he's appeared.
That's fine, and the video is kind of appropriate because we're talking about an animal. So,
Yeah, yeah, It's like
but no,
he's
I definitely would classify this as horror. One being Stephen King. Two, it's a monster movie. Like they're getting attacked by this dog. A lot of killing. You know, So, um, I would definitely classify it as horror. The ending's a little abrupt. I mean, I do like that the family's back together, but it kind of ends like Jaws does, where it's like, bam, you know.
mhm.
But but no, it was interesting. I'm glad I checked it out. Because you hear about this, people refer to it, so I'm glad I
And
can say that I.
now you understand the references.
Uh huh.
There's even a
Yeah.
reference in I don't know if you remember Ghostbusters Afterlife. Paul Rudd is showing the kids, he's like, "Imma show you this movie called
Oh,
Cujo."
that's right. That's what he
It's about
plays in
a
the classroom.
yeah, he's about a rabid dog and he eats kids. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah, I so obviously I saw that before I saw this, but I now that you say that, I remember that. It's when he's in the classroom in the summer and he's playing that. Yeah,
Right.
I like that. That's cool. But yeah, Cujo, it's definitely one of those ones that's referenced. It's a part of pop culture. Um,
Yeah, it's
and
not something that I could watch all the time, but probably
right,
about once a year I could give it a watch. I mean, I enjoy it. I have the DVD copy. I don't have the Blu-ray. Um, that's why I wanted to watch it on HBO Max because it was in, quote unquote HD, but it
right.
needs a remaster. It's really soft and um the clarity, the resolution, the clarity, it's just kind of it's time.
Yeah.
It needs a good remaster.
No, that would be a good one to restore for
You
sure.
know it's getting
Um,
restored and is about to release is the 1987 The Blob,
oh,
which was filmed right here 10 minutes away from my house in Abbeville, Louisiana.
wow. I think you had mentioned that before, and
Hmm.
I haven't seen that one either. So that might be an interesting one to check out as well. Interesting, man.
Yep, the 4K is releasing soon. I'll probably be what you call it, pre-ordering it so I
Okay,
can so I can get it when it comes in. I
very
mean, I have the
cool.
Blu-ray, but I got to certain movies I just have to get the 4K, and that's
Yeah,
one of them.
I hear you on that. That's cool. So yeah, I'm glad I checked it out for sure. So, what was the one you wanted to check next? You said it 1987. It's with D. Wallace.
Oh no, The Howling.
Howling, Howling.
The
Okay,
Howling,
cool.
yeah, that's
All
but I
right.
think we can wait on that one closer to Halloween,
Okay.
because once we get to, September and October, we'll do a few horror pictures then. So we'll
There you
kinda save
go.
that stuff for later.
Okay, well that sounds good.
Anything else
Very
you've watched
good.
lately?
Um, trying to see here recently. Um, I this is totally different, but I brushed up on an old classic, Ferris
Ah,
Bueller's Day Off. Totally different, genre. But when you and producer Nick were doing that top, I think you did like a top five list of comedies.
mhm, mhm.
This is one of those ones that I like a lot, so I would have included that on my list. Um,
And look, and the thing is, when it comes to Ferris Bueller,
mhm,
I'm just kinda, it's okay. It's
yeah,
not by any means bad. It's
right.
just not one that I grew up watching, so it doesn't have that special place for me. I didn't see it till I was an adult.
Oh
Um,
yeah,
so I definitely respect the whole '80s aspect of it and
right.
all of that good stuff, but I guess it's because I didn't grow up watching it, it doesn't really stick with me, you know?
Yeah, I
It's
mean,
it's good.
definitely. Yeah, I grew up watching it. I mean, John Hughes, 80s. Um, it's got has all that comedy in it, so it's one I grew up
Bueller,
watching. Yeah.
Bueller,
the
Bueller,
and
Bueller.
that's the Dry Eyes guy, remember?
Yeah, that's,
Yeah.
I forget his name.
Yeah, I forget his name too, but he pops up here and there on stuff.
He passed away a few years ago.
Oh, he did?
Yeah, I'm
Oh,
pretty
I didn't
sure.
know that. Um, I also picked up
Clear Eyes. It
yeah,
was
Clear
Clear
Eyes.
Eyes, yeah.
Clear Eyes, that's what it was. Because I'm a geek, I picked up the Guardians of the Galaxy Steelbook. So
Which one? The
it's
first
got
one or the
Rocket on the
newest
back.
one?
No, the newest one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it just came out.
Henry,
And I had
bruh.
yeah, I had mentioned it previously. Oh, and I something else I revisited. I did a rewatch through the Men in Black movies.
Oh, excellent. I love those.
Yeah, I love those too. And it had been so long since I it's been I mean, I grew up watching, especially the first one, which is obviously the best one. But I
It is
grew
the
up
best
watching
one.
that. Yeah,
It is the
by
best
far.
one. But
Yeah,
I
it's by far.
love the third one.
Yeah, the third one's good.
I
Um,
love Josh Brolin as young Tommy Lee Jones and
yes.
stuff. I don't know. Just that one has a special place in my heart, but I will agree that of course the first one's the best one. There's no doubt.
Yeah. So I grew up
Second
watching
one's the
them, but
weakest.
yeah, it had been a few years since I watched them. But I went ahead and watched it. That first one, man, just had like that Tommy Lee Jones, Will Smith, very 90s. A lot of practical, which I know you appreciate. Um, the second one is weaker, but I'm still nostalgic because you still have the MIB headquarters, you still have Rip Torn, Tommy Lee Jones, Will Smith. You still got those guys there. Um, And then the third one, I like it. I like that one a lot too. But I don't know it as well as I know the first two. So it was fun to rewatch it.
Mhm.
And I don't know what I was thinking. I never saw that fourth one, that Men in Black
Me
International.
neither, and I'm not going to.
Okay. I never saw it. And I was like kind of in a mood. I checked it out. And you know me, I'm very optimistic. I try to give it the benefit of the doubt.
Well, that's it for today's show, folks.
Anyway, I gave it a there's a couple of cool references in it, but I'm not a fan of it, dude. I didn't even
It
finish it.
wasn't good.
Well, it's you know, it's got like that today's sensibilities added to it, which I don't like. I like the
Oh,
classic nature of the
it's
original.
it's progressive.
Yeah, and I don't and you know, what I like about the first three Men in Blacks, even though the third one was done, quite a bit later, um, the special effects were a lot of costumes and props. And I forget the name of the guy, but he's a very famous guy in Hollywood that did like all the costumes and props. And in that for international one, there's a lot of CGI on the aliens, and I'm like, man, that's one of the things with Men in Black. It's like it's always people in costumes,
Mhm.
you know.
And the
So
fact
that
that it doesn't it looks, the aliens and everything, they're a little cheesy. It doesn't
they
look
look,
that good,
yeah,
and that's the charm of Men in Black.
yeah, and even it's not even good CGI. Like
Mhm.
it's and you're talking to someone that likes the prequels. The CGI
Yeah.
is bad in international.
The
Okay,
poor
that's saying a
prequels, man.
lot.
Every time somebody talks smack about about CGI or something like that, we bring up the Star Wars prequels.
But anyway, I'm gonna kind of forget the fourth one, but those I like the first three. I know the second one's kind of the stepchild, but I still like it
That's
because
good.
it still has the same cast. It's still filmed, it's like 2002, so it still has that 90s flair. So, yeah, that I like those movies. It was
And,
good to revisit
Tommy Lee
those.
Jones is funny in the second one
Oh,
when
yeah,
he's working at the post office and all of that stuff.
right. Him being the straight man, Will Smith being the jokey one, it was perfect,
Mhm.
you know? Yeah, you couldn't recast it any other way.
Complete opposite ends of the spectrum.
Yeah, and that's one of the beauties of how it
Well, that's what
worked.
makes it work. Yeah.
Yeah, and what I love about those movies too is how they play with scale, and like at the end of the first one, the galaxy's really this small thing,
Right.
and then at the end, the Earth's small too, and then in the second one, they're really in the locker at the end, and I like how they play with scale,
Well,
like
they're
things aren't as
basically
big as
saying, right, yeah, we're not as big as we think we are. I mean, we're just a
right,
tiny little speck in the universe. Yeah.
right. So
I
that was
watched
fun.
Last Night in Soho. It was okay with Anna
Okay.
Taylor-Joy. It's this girl who she goes off it takes place in London. So she
Hmm.
goes to the university, and while she's there, she starts staying in this apartment, and then she already has kind of what is it when you can people kind of clairvoyant or whatever, where they kind of see dead people and spirits or something like that.
Okay, kind of like a sixth sense or like
Yeah, I don't know the name of it, but
no, they call it something. Yeah.
so
Um,
she can have these, she sees like her mom has passed away, and she can see her mom or whatever every now and then. Well, she starts basically seeing watching this girl in the 60s who stayed in this apartment where she is. And she sees every night when she goes to bed, she's like taken back into the 60s, and the girl wanted to be a star and all of this good stuff. And then um, some bad things happen or whatever, and the girl can kind of see it, and then she starts being haunted by different spirits and all that good stuff. And so
okay.
there's the big reveal at the end of what's really going on, and you're like, oh, okay, I didn't really see that coming. So it's one of those types of movies.
What year was it made?
It's like 2 years ago,
Oh,
21,
okay.
I think, 2021. Yeah.
Okay.
So it was okay. I mean, it's not great. I don't know if you'd like it.
Yeah.
I don't think it'd be your thing. I'll probably never
Well,
watch it again, but
it kind of sounds a little bit like The Sixth Sense.
yes and no. I mean, she's not dead, obviously.
Right.
It's kinda, yes and
Uh-huh.
no. It reminded me well, I can't say what movie it reminds me of without giving too much away for those who haven't seen it,
Okay.
but it's worth a watch if you like Anna Taylor-Joy, she was really good, and, just that type of stuff. If you've been curious about it, it's on HBO for free. You can give it a watch,
Yeah.
it's okay. But then I also watched The Menu, producer Nick and Anna Taylor-Joy is in that as well.
Uh-huh.
Producer Nick told me to watch it, and that one was really good. Like, really good.
Okay. I've heard it. Now that I've heard of it, but I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, like, things start happening, like, "What the hell's going on?" Like, "Is this real? Is it not real? What the hell?" It's pretty fun. It's a fun movie. It's a good one.
Well, that's good, man. I'll have
I
to
think
check
you'll
that
like
out.
that. Mhm.
Um, now my memory's being jogged. I also watched Old by the M Night Shyamalan. He
Yeah, I
made
saw it.
this movie.
Mhm.
Yeah, I watched. I was flipping through HBO Max. I had some time, and I've watched that. I kind of liked it. It
Yeah,
was.
it's okay. It
Yeah.
wasn't horrible,
No.
because some of his movies, his movies can be hit or miss or whatever, but that one
Yeah,
was
I
pretty
like his
good.
earlier
It's
stuff more than his later.
Now, it's funny we're talking about this because producer Nick also watched A Knock at the Cabin, and so that's my homework assignment for this weekend is to because that it's on Prime right now.
And is that
So
it's a newer one from him, right?
yeah, it just came out last year.
Yeah, I saw that pop up. I was curious to check that out too because I do, you know, his movies, like you said, that can be kind of a hit or
Hit or
miss.
miss.
But I'm because of those ones that I like, I'm always wanting to check them
Yeah.
out.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
look, well, Signs is probably the best alien
I like.
invasion movie ever made.
I love
Um,
Signs.
that is just and that's his best work, in my opinion.
Hmm.
I know a lot of people like Split and whatnot, but I
Yeah.
think that his best work is Signs by far. So yeah, ever since Signs, I've been a huge I really
Hmm.
like his stuff, but well, let me rephrase that. I either really like it or it's just, eh.
Yeah.
Um, Lady in the Water, I kind of like that one. A lot of people don't like it. I actually like that one a lot. But this one, Nick said he liked it better than Old. So,
Wow. I'll have to check it out.
and he said
Uh,
Dave Bautista's awesome in it.
Yeah, he's really been coming up because at first he was in Guardians and he's kind of a jokey, but he was really good in that Blade Runner movie he was in.
Yeah, he's only in it for like 5 minutes, but he was great.
Yeah, but he was good in it. Yeah, that's interesting for me with M Night. It's Signs and Unbreakable. I love those two.
Oh, Unbreakable's great. Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah, those are good. Oh, and I can't believe I didn't like lead with this or mention this earlier. I watched Oppenheimer last night.
And
Um, I loved it. I
you
loved
loved
it.
it? Okay.
Yes, I liked it. So, I mean, and I can't believe because I guess we're talking about old movies and it kind of escaped me, but give it up to Christopher Nolan for making a movie about a physicist, building a bomb. And it's really just a lot of interactions with different people, but he made that a blockbuster movie. And there's
Yeah.
really only one big action scene in it. Um, but I was intrigued the whole time. Like I was,
Yeah. I was
and
mentally exhausted when I was
yeah,
finished.
yeah.
Like
And it's,
Nick and I'm telling you, when we left the theater, we couldn't even have a real conversation about it.
yeah,
Like it was just we were trying to process what we just watched. It was
there
just,
was so much going on. Yeah,
oh man, it was like holy crap. And
so
I
much going
just
on.
I can't, man, I can't say that I enjoyed it. I just can't do it. Every time I try to think about it, I'm just like, it was just okay to me. Yeah, it just wasn't awesome to me.
Okay.
I can't do it. Maybe if I watch it
Well,
again, but I just can't do it.
I can see where you're coming from. And what's funny is I watched, you and producer Nick did the video on it.
Mhm.
And I watched it, and my wife was kind of, you know, she was kind of here and there when I was watching it. And she goes, wait a minute, that movie's 3 hours long. She goes, okay. She's like, that'll be one that you go see on your own. Because she was thinking about going. And then when she heard y'all, she was like, I'll wait on video. I'll wait to stream it or whatever. But what got me intrigued is kind of like Saving Private Ryan and some of those other ones. It's riddled with big actors in small roles.
Uh-huh.
Like you got Robert Downey in there. You have the guy from Matthew Modine from Stranger Things. You have him in there. You obviously have Killian Murphy, played the Scarecrow and stuff in Batman. You have him. There's a lot of actors kind of riddled through it. And the main message I got out of it, it's just crazy how this guy who developed the bomb, like, maybe there was some sketchy communist stuff in the background and stuff, but the movie's really about him doing this for the government and then him kind of regretting it and them not having his back.
Mhm.
Like, it's messed up. Like, he went out on a limb and debated, he said,
We
now I'm the pioneer of death and all that.
we all know that politicians never take responsibility for anything,
Yeah.
okay? And this was typical government saying once they
Yeah.
started getting the backlash and everything else for it actually happening, well, somebody's got to be the scapegoat. And this guy pissed me off,
Yeah.
and it's gonna be him. We got to make
And you're
him look
talking
bad.
right. Robert Downey Jr.'s character is
Mhm.
mad at Oppenheimer because he made him look kind of stupid. Um, but yeah, it's that's what kept me intrigued is like, man, he went through all this for you guys, and you're not even gonna have his back. And Truman, played by Gary Oldman, which is
Oh,
another cool cameo.
great.
I mean, what a what? Like, what a freaking jerk. Like calling him a crybaby because he feels bad about killing thousands of people. Like, and you can kind of see both sides, like, yes, the atomic bomb was awful because it killed all those people, but then you can also argue, well, would more people have died if they wouldn't have done it?
Mhm.
So you can kind of see both sides, but to just straight up think that he's a freaking wuss, like, really? Like that? But great acting by Gary Oldman in
Oh,
that one
fantastic.
scene.
It took me a
But
second. When I saw him, I was like, yeah, that's got to be Gary Oldman. But then I was
yeah,
like, well, maybe not, but it's his teeth. Gary Oldman doesn't have very good teeth. And whenever they have the close up of his face, I was like, "Yep, it's Gary Oldman. I
yeah.
recognize his teeth."
Because in my head I'm like I can see it, and then it's also Nolan, and he uses Gary Oldman was in all
Kind
the
of the
Batman
same
movies
people,
with
yeah.
him. He uses Killian Murphy a lot, so he uses a lot of the same ones. But I feel like this is one that will get a lot of Hollywood recognition, and I'm not going to be against that. Like he'll definitely get an Oscar nom for
Look,
Best Actor.
compared to most of the crap that
Yeah.
comes out now,
Uh huh.
this is, probably from a technical aspect, I guess, one of the
Yeah.
best movies that's going to come out this year. I mean,
I agree. Yeah.
there's no
This is
doubt
way
about
up there.
that.
Yeah. Though Robert Downey, I'm sure will get a Best Supporting nomination. Murphy, will definitely get a Best Actor nomination. Christopher Nolan should get nominated as well.
Best director, best picture. It's going to
Yeah,
get nominated for
it'll
all
get
that
it.
stuff.
And I won't be upset if this one takes it because I enjoyed it. And I like how to keep it from being boring, he cuts pretty quick.
And that's what
Like it's
drives me nuts.
well, I think
It
that kept it from
drives
being boring
me
though.
no, no. What's more interesting in these types of movies is the
Yeah.
conversation, and I want to hear what
Yeah.
they have to say. And whenever you don't when you get something that's probably a 4-minute conversation cut down to 30 seconds, it takes it out of me. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? That's why I love like a Quentin Tarantino movie. He'll have a camera on two
Oh
guys
yeah.
for 10
He'll
minutes,
uh-huh.
and they'll never cut.
Right.
So I that cuts stuff that he does drives me
Yeah.
bananas in all of his movies because he always does it. And that's why I talked about it in the Oppenheimer movie. It drives me
Yeah.
crazy.
I can see that, but for some
Ah,
reason, he's one of the ones I really like. But I can see the argument. He's not perfect.
right. He's
Um,
not perfect, but he
yeah,
really
he
is.
does a lot of practical.
He's a visionary. Um, yeah, he's all about. He said if it's not on camera, then it's not real.
Yeah.
He said even if it doesn't look the best, at least you're looking at something that's really on camera. That is what he
Yeah.
said. So
I
I
like that
like
he's
it.
all practical. Like
I
in The
like it.
Dark Knight, like they really flipped that 18
Flip that
wheeler.
18 wheeler, correct.
Yeah.
Yep.
So um
No, so the man is definitely one of the best filmmakers
for
uh,
today, yeah.
of today, maybe even of all time. But
And
Hey,
he
he's not
doesn't seem to
perfect.
yeah,
That that ugh, that just drives me crazy. In
but he
some
doesn't
movies, it's worse than
seem
others, and it was really
yeah,
bad in Oppenheimer.
yeah. And he did, but he doesn't seem to get caught up in all these, mandates and stuff. They kind of let him do his own thing because he's, you know, proven guy. So
He's
I
Christopher
appreciate
Nolan.
that.
He's kind of like
Yeah.
Quentin Tarantino. He can do whatever the hell he wants.
Yeah. I like that, because then
What
you're
you're gonna
getting
do?
kind of
His
their,
movies are gonna make money,
yeah.
so they're gonna let him do whatever he wants to do.
Yeah. And he's one
Yeah,
of those ones that
I
kind of
just made my
like
camera shake.
the popcorn going audience and the more Oscar people. Like he's one of those ones that can kind of please both audiences.
Hmm. Yeah,
So that's
because his
pretty cool.
movies are kind of a mixture.
Mm-hmm.
They're not all strictly popcorn movies. I mean, they're intelligent. I mean, the man is
Yeah.
obviously intelligent, so his stories are intelligent. So you get
Uh-huh.
kind of a good. Like I told Nick, I love The Prestige, man. Have you seen that one?
Yeah, of
Ah,
course. I have it. And when you said that in your review, I was like, yes, that's one of my favorite ones of him too.
oh, it's
That's a really good
great.
one. Mm-hmm.
Great movie.
We should revisit that at some point because it's been a couple
Absolutely.
years. But I
I think I
love all
watched it
the
last year.
okay. I mean Christian Bale, Hugh Jackman, and then I love the Teslas in it. Like I love all that.
Isn't that
You
David
know.
Bowie that plays Tesla?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. But I love Tesla because there's all those conspiracies surrounding him that, he was taken out because he was so far ahead and all that. So I love all that stuff there. So but cool.
All right, man. Well, you got anything else you want to add?
No,
No.
it was a good little catch up here.
Yeah. After we finish recording, we'll talk about what we're gonna do next.
Sounds good.
All right. Well, that'll about do it for Cujo and what June catch up we'll call it. But once again, like, subscribe, tell your friends, and join us on the next one. See you later. Adios, Dominic.
All right.